Hey guys, today I wanted to bring you something a little different. It's my little small way of kind of tackling what we're seeing and experiencing today. It's no longer time for us to sit around and talk about in the abstract. Let's talk about things in the direct. So, I decided to have a conversation with a black man. So, I want to share with you guys a conversation with one of the black men I've known for a really long time. Let's look.
96 was a good year. I'm just,
96,
it was a
like
good
for
year.
real. Y'all, I was on Facebook the other day and I saw somebody say, yeah, so I bet a whole bunch of people can't post that they got friends for longer than 10 years. And I'm like, I ain't
Oh,
got
yeah.
nothing but 10 pluses. Like, we talking about the
Uh-huh.
20, 25 years. We the quarter gang now, like, gang, gang.
Facts. Somebody,
Gang,
somebody
gang.
reminded me the other day that it's been 17 years since I graduated high school.
Oh, hey, look, man. Look,
I could,
look,
I
although we
could,
met in '96, I ain't gonna say hi now. We
I,
ain't gonna.
I could have a kid that would be graduating high school this year,
But
which is it's surreal, growing old. You know,
I don't look at it as growing old though. I look at it as we aging. If we doing it right, we aging like fine wine. I mean,
I ain't gonna go too hard, but no, you all right, yo, you all right.
yeah. I mean, I'm doing
Nah,
pretty
you all right.
okay. I don't take a lot of dicks to the face. I've talked about it
Whoa,
before. It's not my thing.
whoa, whoa. Okay, okay. Pause. Pause. You the
um,
same age as me. Fuck out of
no,
here.
no, no. I'm 6 months younger than you. That's
No,
that's
you the same age.
that's how that goes. But what I will say is diet and I drink more
Water.
water.
Yeah, water. Get that water in your body, okay?
Water is a black person's friend. Like
Oh, I love it.
again, I think it's everybody's friend. But yeah, if you got that more oilier, uh,
Yeah.
that reflective skin, what reflects more than anything than the ocean.
I'm in between a liter and a gallon of water a day, and it's like unintentional. It's like when I get thirsty, that's my go-to for real. So I'm right there with you.
I will say, and I think you COVID, and I keep joking with my best friend about this, but yeah, I really got to detox during this time. I really got to
Facts,
reconnect with myself during this
facts,
time,
facts, facts.
which is a
Facts.
perfect segue, I guess, into what brings us
Get
here
straight into it.
today. So you've been my homie, you've been rocking with me and my little channel for a little bit, and so I'm trying to capitalize right on the climate that we're in right now.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Um, and so I think one voice that has not been accurately captured in the about 5 solid years that we've been fighting black men dying on film,
Mhm.
if you take the media of it, right? We haven't really heard from black men, if you ask me.
Hmm.
I think we have heard from a lot of puppeted black voices.
Leaders, quote unquote.
No, I chose my words wisely.
Okay, you got it. No, I follow. Yeah, yeah, you're right. Keep talking your shit.
And
I'm right
thus,
there with.
and thus, there's a narrative out there that doesn't quite fully fit the
Hmm.
the octagon of black men that I know giving
Hmm.
me this box. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, absolutely. No,
Like we
absolutely.
missing so many depths of this
Real voices. Yeah,
real
yeah.
voices. So I mean, I don't have a voice. I got my friends follow me, but it don't hurt to at least start somewhere. So
Absolutely.
if you do me a favor,
Sure, sure.
introduce yourself.
So my name's Kenyon. Like about me, I'm born and raised in Baltimore. In a lot of ways, I feel like my education was rooted in the place that we kind of met, right? So like I don't really think I learned a lot since middle school, but that's neither here nor there. So I'll give you a quick rundown. High school, I attended Lake Clifton. Um, College, I went to Coppin. I have a 4-year degree um, in English, Bachelor of Arts, right? And it took me 7 years to get a 4 year degree. So within like the last 6 months, I've become a teacher, and I'm like really, really thrilled and fulfilled in that area so far, right? Because there's always these little butts and cliffhangers that come with life. But I'm having a great time at the moment. So boom, and I'm just your average smart ass nigga. That's it.
Well, I like to share everything. So please plug yourself. Let us know what podcast you are and where we can find you at on social media.
Cool, great. Social media, Instagram, I am at Mi Awake Or. That's EMIAWAKEOR. My podcast, it's called Free Therapy. And it really is rooted in this idea of what we're doing right here, safe space for Black men to come and get some of their shit off. And that's why it's called Free Therapy. I figured, hey, boom, why don't I get a couple of my friends together and we do a podcast? We're up to episode 31. We're on Spotify. I'm on SoundCloud. And a lot of times I just post the links to my own personal social media. So if you follow me on Instagram, you follow me on Facebook, you can find me. I think, though, however, I'm going to figure out how to get my podcast on all platforms. So that's something that's in the works. So
I think that space is necessary. So thank you. Everything that's been going on, I want to know, how are you feeling?
um, just in general, or about the situation.
So I no longer want to control how people process
Okay,
or
that's
answer
fine.
that question
Okay,
because
I'll
I
do
genuinely want to know. So how are you
I'll,
feeling?
I'll do it two ways. Honestly, um, I so just to give you a little bit more background about me, I stopped working at my job that I had for 15 years back in last August. So there was a period between August and February where I was doing exactly what we were doing here in COVID, just in the house, trying to scratching and surviving and shit, like trying to find an outlet. During that time, though, I really started to feel the effects of depression and like having a lot of things kind of weigh in on me. Not being able to find a job, applying for jobs here, just trying to figure some stuff out for real.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first time in my life that I had ever had to deal with myself on a certain level. You know what I mean? I never really stopped to just kind of take it all in for myself and life. And I had to kind of deal with that. So when I actually did get picked up at the school that I'm currently working at, um, it was exciting. Like I'm back in the culture. I'm back interacting with people. I have a job now, and it really lifted my spirits. I didn't understand how important it was to, have a job every day. Like that really lifted my spirits. Like I was like instantly better. And then boom, we're back in the house for another 3 months. So how am I feeling today? I'm sitting in this weird place of not feeling that great about myself, but also, really just hopeful for the future,
People are asking you nowadays, like, how do you feel? Do you feel like that's a genuine question? Like, do
No,
you think
because our society doesn't really give a fuck about how you feel. Look at how they treat athletes in the media. Shut up and dribble. Shut
that's
up and
fair?
throw the ball. Shut up and catch. Look at what the overall mantra is for boys in general growing up. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
be all right. Shrug it off, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
nobody really gives a fuck about how you feel, right?
Mm-hmm.
We say we do, but we really only care about, you know, how we're getting money, so to speak, or how are we able to have success, and then that somehow is related to happiness. You know what I mean? We kind of care a little bit, like when we get to that to a point where we're not caught up in the hustle and bustle. But if you got day-to-day shit going on, if you're trying to pay bills, if you're trying to take care of kids, if you're trying to be successful in your job, if you're trying to be successful in your career, you don't really have time to give a fuck about how somebody else is mitigating the same shit that you're trying to travel through. Unless, of course, that person is your child or maybe your significant other or a family member if you have a deep connection. But like for general people in the world, nah. So when people ask me that question, I'm like, I'm cool.
So
You know what I mean?
I
I'm cool.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to often give the I'm cool because I don't think you really can handle what I'm
Uh,
really thinking about right
If I
now.
start telling you about everything that's wrong with me,
Ask, how do you feel, right? Like as your immediate friend or homegirl or whatever, or as like, do you immediately just hear the societal general how you feeling, and then you gotta take a moment to slow it down and be like, all right, maybe this person, or like
oh
immediately you hear the difference between the two? Because I'm trying to
yeah.
figure out how we who care about you all as Black men can express it more so you don't have that previous feeling.
Well, I mean, I do understand that expression is important, but I am also thinking about passing on burdens.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I mean? I tend to hold back because I don't want to pass on a burden. I have a personal connection with asks me how I'm doing. There might be something immediate that's really troubling me, or if there's something like emotional or heavy that's weighing on me. I'm just conscious of passing energy a little bit. Because once I give that to you, maybe you can handle it and I can't. But at the same time, it's I'm always trying to not be selfish. I've been on this wave of uh, not wanting to always just be in my own personal feelings and worrying about myself. Like just trying to worry about others because I have been personally so ignorant to how I've transferred negative energy in ways.
Did something happen like for you to come to that? Because I think that's a big statement.
Yeah, I mean, like, people. Well, first, it kind of stems from me having this anger issue, and going through a specific event in my own life. And that kind of was like the moment for me to like wake up and realize that, okay, I'm moving a way that's not conducive to be trying to get to where I'm trying to go. And it's all fueled in emotion and operating off of how I feel and all of that kind of stuff. So, that was kind of like my awakening to it a little bit. So that made me present my anger less, so to speak. But it also opened up my ears to listen to certain people. I'm conscious of the fact that maybe I'm also being bullheaded or not listening enough to other people. So it resonates in different relationships in my life.
And
You
I
know.
think it's fair to give every seed the time that it needs to mature, sprout, and grow. And like you can't rush it. And then if the work isn't being done, I can plant a seed, but if I'm not growing it, if I'm not nurturing it, if I plant a cactus seed outside of Maryland, it ain't gonna grow, or it might take years because it ain't in the right
Mhm,
environment or the climate.
mhm.
So no, like what I'm always trying to afford to people is don't demonize yourself just because we talked about this before. So do you talk about your feelings with other men then? Because I assume you have to look at them and assume they have a similar experience.
I have I've got a couple of different groups that where we share emotionally, but we don't. It's not like a mushy thing or anything like that. It's not like a cry session. I'll give you a little background. I had a period where I was looking for a black male therapist, and it was really really hard for me to find a black male therapist.
Yeah.
I am one, and I did maybe 6 sessions with him, but we're so far from each other. He was in his mid 50s, which was okay, but he just had a different life experience than I did, and it didn't really jive well for me.
So it's interesting that you bring up therapy because that's one of the things that I've kind of been, banging my little tambourine about for the last 4 or 5 years profusely
Hmm.
in the
Hmm.
Black community. I feel like just even that preparation up too? Because I think we have to, it's a few steps before we actually make that step and jump out and do it.
You know what? I gotta give the preparation or me having the energy to go and find a therapist to a black woman. We were together for 10 years, and one of the things that was just a way that she supported me was making sure that I took advantage of all of my benefits from my job. She would always remind me of these things. Did you set your appointment for this? Did you do that? Right. And that got me in the habit of taking care of myself in a way. So when it came time, when I had the realization that I needed some kind of healthcare on another level, right? It wasn't too hard for me to say, all right, boom, let me see what my options are. I pull up the Blue Cross Blue Shield website. Um, Other therapy experiences. So we haven't gotten here yet in the conversation, but with the current climate, this whole racial situation, I personally have a lot of anger for the situation that just goes into me being a black man in an urban environment, trying to make moves, right? And that anger has spilled out in a lot of places in my personal life. Um, and I just can't escape it a little bit, so I'm angry. I'm very angry at what we're into. But I'm also like hopeful, for the future and shit. It all ties into my experience as a black man and my anger. So I was court ordered to do, this class, and there was all kinds of people there, but the guy who led the class was the same age as me. And he was a former police officer. He had time as a correctional officer, and he did social work. And that ended up being my connection. I had to do something like 30 or 40 classes. And I would stay after the class and just kick it with Joe like I was kicking it with one of my homeboys for real. Me kicking it with dude, that was the best like therapy I had ever had, in my life. And going into my podcast, I wanted to kind of give those same kind of conversations to people who might not be having them.
Like, what made him comfortable for you to open up? Because that's heavy.
But it was that we were in the same age range, but the connection for me and this specific individual who taught this class is kind of based in breaking down that wall of professionalism. Sometimes that when people go to work, you got to adopt an attitude that's not necessarily you, right? And we look at people differently if we catch them not being professional. But what we're really saying is we're catching you not acting white. So that's like things like language barriers, things like, how we appear in a workplace. For me, I'm not that caught up on the fact if you haven't read as many books as I have. We do present it came off like I was just talking to somebody that was a regular person, and that is a huge barrier, I think, for a lot of people, is trying to talk to somebody that they relate to. And I cannot relate to anybody who's not genuinely being their authentic self,
Did you feel like, because again, he was a stranger and then y'all were court ordered to meet each other. And then at some point you like, hey, yo, bro, you want to like grab a bud or whatever? Like, did you feel judged by him at any point?
No. So first our initial interaction is, him leading a class. So there's like maybe 25, 30 people in the class or whatever. And, if you've ever been a teacher, your personality comes out. So boom, I picked up on that. No, but also kind of what it was it was just, more so seeing somebody react to the situations, how, I react to the situations. So he would pose different scenarios and then give us, his opinion each time. So there was this relation of somebody who knows my experiences and who's actually walked my path that was there, basically.
So has it been now that, well, let me ask, because I was about to make an assumptive statement. Have you moved beyond that space, or are you still that angry to react like that?
I mean, it's like the Hulk. The
Okay.
anger doesn't ever go away, but it's not. I don't. When we hear certain terms that, like, I had to go to a domestic violence class. When I you think of violence, and like, so for some reason that I hate women, or some reason that I can't manage certain relationships, and that's actually not what it is at all, right? uh I think in a lot of black households, and this is a credit to women. If you're strong enough and you have the right man who has the right temperament, you do not have to put him in the system. You can actually lead that brother to, his glory, so to speak. It just so happens that my situation, I needed to have conversations with somebody else that led me to where I was trying to go. So, um, to answer your question, do I still have violent tendencies? Um, Absolutely yes, but my energy is redirected to other things. You know, to be a man is to embrace violence. To be a black man in America is to embrace a certain level of violence, and it's an energy that's driving and pushes us forward. I mean, focus, when you're a laser focus, when you're a hustler, when you're a go-getter, you're tapping into your primal side as a man, and that's not something that we should just kind of write off and ignore. So when I talk about being motivated and not being a evil person, I just find other ways to get that energy off and put it where it needs to be put.
Right there. Like, what do we do though in a society where we know you're already in a box, right? As a man, but then when we put that callous of black man on top of it, right? It's a whole different box. You are insulated and isolated in society in a way.
Hmm.
What do we as your supporters do? Because again, we know you don't have the outlet there, but the outlet can't be here either. So what do we do to help bridge that gap?
I want to be fair, because I know I said a lot. I don't think that it is a woman's responsibility, or specifically a black woman's responsibility, to bring a man to realization about things that he should do as a man.
Is this
But
the is this the prerequisite for we need more black men in black homes?
this is actually the prerequisite for that. I'm not, because I just my previous statement, I'm not in denial about the role of women in support roles. I think it's very important. I think that you guys sometimes have to extend your patience, because that's really what it is a lot of times, right? You have to extend your level of patience out very, very far for someone that you love. And I'm not oblivious to that. I think that that's a great way to be supportive. How fucking ever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we need more men supporting men. We need more fathers to not leave their homes. We need more relationships to work together, to work out, right?
Because me and you have this argument all the time, and so I sometimes, as a black woman, feel like I have to make the choice between the child and the man, because it doesn't always look like I'm gonna be able to have both at the same time. Although I am doing the best I can to be calm and peaceful enough for you to want to plant a seed in me to grow. I know you can't speak for everybody. And well, do
Sure.
you have children? Are you a father?
I mean, no. So I don't have any children of my own. Would I say I'm a father? I don't take credit for stuff. I did spend some time, about 5 years, in a household with a young lady who had two young boys, and they're attached to me. You
Mm-hmm.
know, we're not together now. We haven't been together for like 2 years, but they'll call me periodically and ask me for different shit. They got their own relationship with their father. That's not to say their father wasn't there, but um, it is what it is. We have a natural relationship with each other. Um, with that being said, my stance on it is if we make the child together, we're stuck together. you know and that's just how I move. I'm not in this space of you know I'm dipping out on a situation. I don't want to be there, because I know, as being, first of all, a step kid myself, right? Having two fathers, and then my time participating in a relationship as a step parent, or whatever you want to make call it. I understand the value and the importance of seeing yourself represented in your own house, you know
I do
especially for young boys. It's very, very important. And I'm not.
believe wholeheartedly that you create safe space by
Mhm,
having uncomfortable and difficult conversations out loud with no oomph with it, right?
mhm,
Again, we are talking about something that on the back end it is weaponized against us, right? That single parent black homes are on welfare, right? That we need the system and these social systems to support ourselves. But when we take that argument and go, well, hey, stop taking our black men from us via these frivolous drug charges, give him some
mhm,
opportunities, let him
mhm,
learn a trade, like invest in him the way that you invest in other men of this country,
mhm, mhm.
then we're asking for a handout or we're crying or whatever. So again, no, here we have to talk about those dualities and those polar opposites.
The product of a stepchild situation and being involved in a stepfather, step parent situation myself. I think the most important thing that you can do or give is just time. We can't be so caught up in these, I don't have money, or I can't do this, because that's going to come and go. You're going to be up, you're going to be down. It doesn't matter where you are financially. You're going to have those moments. So the time is most important. What are you doing for those years that we look back on fondly?
Did joining the Baltimore City's public school system, did that kind of bring some of those last little pieces into crystallization for you? Or you like,
uh
nah, it's just confirmation of what I knew?
I mean, it's a little bit of both.
Mhm.
Mostly, most of this is me. Has always been me. um but the realization, I guess, so to speak, comes from watching how these kids are moving in the classroom. How they are socially. What they talk about. um their level of understanding me. You know what I mean? And I'm talking about kids who don't have learning issues or disabilities in no kind of way. They have trouble when you just speak to them straight on and say, "Hey, do you understand this concept?" And that's kind of like a direct uh, reflection of what's going on in their households. And just watching how they move and how they interact in their social stances in class, like, you can see exactly what's lacking. You know what I mean? How household matters, and having both parents at home affects kids in the classroom. That's all. So
Do you have a lot of male teacher counterparts?
yeah, actually, but of the sixth grade school that I'm at, there's only one other black uh, male teacher. And he's a math teacher, so I'm the only black English. First of all, I'm the only sixth grade English teacher at all. But the other grade teachers are white guys. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Do the boys in your class kind of make that distinction, or do you?
So I do gotta like preface it a little bit with, I only had physically 2 months in classroom with the students before COVID hit. The last
Gotcha.
3 months, the last 3 months have been virtual. But in the time that I had in the classroom, the first month they spent trying to get acclimated to me. So a lot of the young kids just thought that they were, specifically the males, thought that they could just be reckless and do whatever they want and talk however they want. And I was almost, I didn't really want to. I was almost forced into bringing a certain part of my violent side to these kids in this classroom to let them know, look, we're here to do a job. We're here to learn. I'm not here to fuck around with y'all motherfuckers, essentially. Um, of course, I don't cuss at them, but it is what it is at the same
Mm-hmm.
time. So, with that being said, towards the right before we started to let out, I had young black male kids, uh, saying that, yo, I really like Mr. Ushery. That my presence was valued, but I don't, I'm humble, Regina. I don't go into situations looking like I need to be like the Messiah, so to speak. I just go in and do my thing and try to provide what I can provide a little bit.
No, that's pretty interesting that you say that. So in listening to your holistic like conversation, right? Do you think that like middle school is when boys start to feel that double isolation that we was talking about earlier, or
I did at first think that they were starting to be aware of their color.
mm-hmm,
And of course they are, because they're around white kids, they're around Spanish kids, they're around mixed kids, that type of deal.
mm-hmm,
But it's not on a large scale. It's still a little basic in the sense of, I just want to be around people who look like me. You know what I mean? So it's not complex just yet. What I ended up learning as we got later into this social distancing thing or whatever was that they really didn't understand racism. And these are kids that are in the sixth grade. They really don't. They don't really know what it is, right? It's they're they're in a hostile environment socially, economically, because if I didn't say it before, I teach at Curtis Bay. Anything about South Baltimore, before we even get into black and white, it's a socially challenged area economically. A lot of things aren't accessible to that neighborhood, in a way that it might be in some other areas, right? South Baltimore mimics a East Baltimore down the hill, or a West Baltimore and North Ave, in the sense that um, there is poverty. What's different is who is in the poverty, right? Because this is a largely Spanish community. This is a largely white community, with some sprinkles of black. So, with that being said, they all play and mingle with each other, on a regular level. Except, like I said, the mixed kids tend to hang with the mixed kids, the white kids hang with the whites, the Spanish with the Spanish, and the blacks with the blacks. But every now and then, there's no beef with each other over skin, at least from what I observed.
mm-hmm.
you know as we as I got deeper into my teaching curriculum, the subject of race came up. And then that was like, they really don't understand the racism. They don't understand, um, the history of some things. And you know what? Honestly, too, that's kind of the school's fault, because they didn't have a history teacher all year long. The entire school year, there was no social studies teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they didn't really have a lot of opportunity to learn about racism, just yet. And I to be clear, I didn't really explain it to them either, but I did direct them to their parents. I think that that's a conversation that they need to have with their parents, just a little bit more in
Absolutely.
depth. Um,
So any last little tidbit that you want to leave me with today?
you know, um, yeah, I do actually.
Listen.
We as people in general, we got to stop being so full of ourselves.
Mm,
Um, I think the world is entirely too selfish. Individuals are entirely too selfish. Races are too selfish. and we just need to get our own heads out our asses. You know what I mean? There's a ton of things that I could start talking about when it comes to inequality, and money management, and what Black people need to do about this, and what people need to do about that. But ultimately, it's like if you're so full of yourself, you're not going to be able to listen to any fucking thing. And I think that we're seeing that being displayed, um, in the media when it comes to white people, finally kind of understanding what we're talking about when we say we're being brutalized by police. I think we're seeing that a little bit when we're talking about government agencies and buildings wanting to take down the Confederate flag a little bit. We would do well to just get a grip on what reality is and deal with the facts.
And so we also need to take what you said and listen, right? Like listen the whole argument through before you start to speaking, because sometimes you're not even listening to understand. Now I have an understanding and wholeheartedly agree, brother. But before, I ain't let that argument come through. I was about to fight you to
Absolutely.
make
Right.
a point that I live by.
When I say we, I'm not talking about Black people.
Hey, and that's what I picked up on. That's what slowed me down. I was like, he said we as people, and I was like, Regina, if you heard Black people, that is your ism, bitch. Hey,
absolutely. No, you want some shit.
And a perfect segue to me asking you again, my brother, how do you feel?
Man, I feel great. This conversation was healthy. It allowed me to release some things that maybe I probably wouldn't have got a chance to release elsewhere. Um, and I'm good, man. Like I'm good. Y'all, I would say I'm not gonna put my burdens on y'all, but you got my burdens this entire shit. So
hey man, look, if I come to you and I tell you I can help you lift it, don't look at my size, just trust that I got the effort to help you lift it. So yeah, no,
that's a bar. That's a bar.
I just bless you and thank you for feeling safe enough to share with me and my audience and stepping out on this new
Well, good.
Yeah, we need to have more conversations with that which we don't understand. So we will catch you next time, Kenyon. And as always, family, I leave you with a lot of light because there's light at the end of this tunnel. I leave you guys with a lot of light because as you can see, there's more than one person who loves this thing that I do. Kenyon, thank you for sharing with us and being here with us and sharing your life with us. And most importantly, and as always, I leave you guys with a lot of love because the love that you give to me, I give back to you 10 times over.
It's better than love. What the world needs is love.
What the world needs is love.
Love.